phone call when you're up against water. Family.
Another attorney commercial with big promises, millions of dollars, practicing law 24 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Let's get rid of the smoke and mirrors. None of that really matters. What does matter? Having a medical doctor as your attorney. That matters.
Good morning, crew. It is President's Day. It is February 16th. It is Monday. Some folks off today, and good for all of you that are off today. You are watching Peaks2Plains Weather. This is Mornings with Meister, and I am Chief Meteorologist Matt Meister. A lot to talk about here this morning, and what I love about what I'm doing here with Peaks2Plains Weather is I have time to break it down and to talk about some of the uncertainties that still exist in the forecast and some of the subtle differences across the area that are going to make a big difference. If you'd like to join the show, you can do that there. These links are the same every day. So you can save those, put those into your browser. If I'm over at the weather wall, I'm doing something, and you pop in, just hang tight, and I will get to you. But I invite you to join the show, ask questions about anything you might want to talk about. So let's jump into it first here, and I'm going to start off with my picture of the day. This came in through the Send to Matt feature of the Peaks2Plains Weather app. This was from Saturday morning. Stephanie sent this in from La Junta. And we had a pretty good area of about 4/10 to 8/10 of an inch of rain out across the eastern plains of Colorado. We had a little bit of snow here and there up over some of the mountain areas, and it was dry over the weekend once we got that system out of here. Everything this week is driven by this system you see off the coast of California. And there is a jet streak that is rounding the base of that early this morning. And this whole system is going to open the door for a busy week of weather across Colorado in terms of fire and ice. Ice up across the high mountain areas. This is a great pattern from a snow perspective, maybe not for travelers, but we do have heavy snow on the way. Later today, we have winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories, that go into effect for Colorado's high country and last until later in the week, because we're going to get multiple rounds of heavy snow, and some of that is going to be wind-driven as well. The wind on the eastern side of the Rocky Mountains is going to produce fire weather conditions. We have red flag warnings that are up through the day today, up and down the Front Range. And then as we move into tomorrow, we see red flag warnings continue. And that is really the critical fire day in terms of the strongest wind gusts. We also have high wind watches that are up for most of southern Colorado here during the day on Tuesday. And that is going to be the day of the biggest concern. So why the fire and ice? Well, our terrain plays a big role here, because on the west side of the Continental Divide, where the flow coming in from the west lifts the air, we're helping to create clouds and precipitation. I mean, we have large-scale lift coming in as well, don't get me wrong, but it's what the terrain does to that wind that really creates kind of Colorado splitting into two, because on the eastern slopes, we get downslope, we get compression, we get warming, we get drying out, and we get the fire weather concerns. So it really is, just kind of depends on where you are. And this is going to be, especially tomorrow, a day where, I don't oversell things, but I am concerned tomorrow just due to how widespread the strong gusts are going to be, that if we get a fire, it is going to spread rapidly. So I want to take a moment here, and this is kind of what this is about. Do you know how you would be notified? Do you have something set up to be notified if there was a wildfire and if an evacuation was issued for your area? Meaning that, okay, there's a fire in spot X and we know it's moving in direction Y, and you are in the path of direction Y. So today's the day to kind of be ready for that. And in fact, I would do it this morning. You can check out with your county, your emergency managers, how they notify you, your local fire department, if you're in a small town, if you're in a volunteer fire department area, ask around town. Figure that out. In El Paso and Teller counties, there's a really, really easy way that you can sign up. Here's some information about that.
Emergencies are unpredictable, but you don't have to be unprepared. Peak Alerts sends you targeted emergency alerts in real time for the places that matter to you most, so you know what's happening and what to do next. Know first, act fast. That's the power of Peak Alerts.
Peakalerts.org, easy way to do it. I would sign up today and do that and make sure that you have that taken care of. You've got to be able to have multiple ways to know what is happening. Okay, let's talk about our short-term weather for today. Yesterday, it was stunning. We had some 70s in the southeastern corner. We had 60s up and down the Front Range, 40s and 50s over the mountain areas. We are noticeably warmer today than we were this time yesterday, by about 10 to 20 degrees in a lot of areas across southern Colorado. Today is the Chinook wind day. And so that's caused by a mountain wave that we have seen develop in some areas early this morning. And you can see here up against the hills that we've got some areas that are in the 50s this morning. That's what that yellow is. Lots of areas in the 40s. You get too far away from the hills, out across the plains, there are some 30s. Some of the mountain areas are in the 20s this morning, but we have seen some wind already this morning, and it's in real localized spots where the mountain wave is. You can see Walsenburg's gusting to 22. Northwest side of the Pikes Peak region, we are seeing some gusty wind. Here is a look out the window this morning in Monument on I-25. This is between Baptist and Highway 105. And you can see that flagpole's bouncing around a little bit. Now, the location where I have the weather sensor is not picking up on the strong wind, but that look out the window tells a different story. Now, at the Air Force Academy Airfield, we are measuring wind right now, 30 miles an hour, some gusts into the low 40s, and that's leading to a temperature of 53. But in a Chinook pattern, because it's a mountain wave, the strong gusts tend to be more localized than what we're going to have tomorrow as a cold front moves through the area. So that is something that is a little, makes today and tomorrow a little bit different out there. So let's keep talking about what happens today. Walsenburg, we're getting some wind as well. You can see the camera bouncing around there. The camera maybe got knocked up against that light pole at I-25. But here's what happens today. Through the morning, we keep the strong wind gusts kind of up against the hills in a mountain wave, a Chinook. Tomorrow, as a cold front moves through, we transition to a different type of wind situation, which is called a Bora, which is sort of a brute force, widespread, like pressure gradient driven, jet stream driven wind. That is the day that the wind gusts are going to be stronger. We're still getting compression. We're still getting warming due to that terrain forcing and drying out. But the strong wind gusts tomorrow make tomorrow a critical fire weather day. My friends at the Weather Service haven't issued a PDS red flag warning yet. That's a particularly dangerous situation, red flag warning, because not all red flag warnings are the same. I mean, there's high fire danger today, but it's not tomorrow. And so this is their attempt to say, hey, this is sort of a, high-end, critical, almost historical type thing. And the reason they haven't done that is because the humidity, we'd like to see that, well, wouldn't like to see those, but if they are a little bit lower, that's when they would maybe issue that. And I've got strong gusts in the forecast for Wednesday as well. So for today, Banjo's barometer, I think we're going to probably set some records today, especially in Pueblo and Alamosa. I think we'll end up a degree or two shy in Colorado Springs. And for those of you that are windy today, you might be like, it's not a 7, Banjo. But he's kind of comparing that to what's coming tomorrow, because tomorrow the wind gusts are going to be stronger. So the record in the Springs today is 68. Like I said, I think we'll miss that. We're going to be well above seasonal averages. It doesn't matter if you set a record or not, no. 74 in Pueblo would take out the old record of 73. And in Alamosa, the record's 57. So I think we take that out. And I talk about those three places in terms of records because those are our official climate reporting stations in southern Colorado. There is a little bit of snow on the western slope this morning, at least trying to be some snow. TAMCO live Doppler radar shows some radar echo in the northwestern part of the state. If I show you Aspen here, you can see we're not really getting much yet. We'll have a little bit of off and on kind of flurry activity today, but really the snow starts to pick up tonight. And that is good news, my friends, because snowpack remains historically low. We did a little bit of work on it last week. We bumped the percentages in the snowpack in the individual river basins up about 3 to 4%. Statewide, we are still running at 55% of median. We're still on the low end of that data set from the SNOTEL automated reporting sites of snow water equivalent. And so in terms of both ski conditions and snowpack, this week is what the doctor ordered. I've got 2 to 3 feet in the southwestern part of Colorado through Friday. There might be a little bit more than that. We'll see. Middle part of the state, Central Mountains, kind of looking 30 inches up on the high end. So we're talking Crested Butte, we're talking Monarch. You get into Summit County resorts, I think 1 to 2 feet, 1 to 2 feet up across the Steamboat area in the northern part of the state as well. That's great news. What isn't great news is for travelers, it's going to be very, very challenging with the wind that is set to come into the area. So you have to take kind of the challenges with the good news. You all know that we need that snowpack. So let's talk about what the timing of this is going to be. And again, right now we're kind of focusing on the mountain areas. So we see the snow start to pick up as we move into tonight. And it really ratchets up tomorrow morning. That's when the cold front moves across the area. We keep some snow going into tomorrow night. Now, tomorrow morning, if you are traveling, is going to be the most challenging travel time in the mountains of Colorado because there may be some snow squalls moving across the area as the cold front moves across the mountains. May see some snow at the rates of 2 to 5 inches an hour over some of the passes, and the wind will be picking up at that time, blowing between 40 and 60. That obviously is going to make for some very, very difficult travel. Okay, so I think that'll be some of the most rough kind of go. But you see, as we head from Tuesday night into Wednesday, we're keeping snow around. We head Wednesday into Thursday, and we're still keeping some snow around. But Wednesday night into Thursday, we will start to see the snow pull back just a little bit. So that is something to be aware of. Okay, if you'd like to join me live and ask some questions, you can do that. Here are the links to do that. I'll leave those up while we talk a little bit about what you guys are asking here early this morning. Isaac is a local wildland fighter, and he wants to add some information here. He says, please use your brains today and tomorrow. Don't flick cigarettes out the window and all of that. I think that is obvious. But what are some other things that can spark fires? I mean, no prescribed burns. Agricultural folks, please don't do that. Sometimes chains, if people are hauling trailers, there's the safety chains that you hook up underneath your ball and hitch. If those chains are dragging, sometimes sparks from those on roads can cause wildfires. So if you are, if you're somebody that is bringing tools to a work site, you're hauling some hay around, you're moving, please make sure that your chains are off the ground and not creating sparks. So that's something that we want to make you aware of as well. Okay, let's talk about the fire part of the forecast for our local areas here. And I'm going to head over to the weather wall to do that. And if you'd like to join me here on the show, you can do so. You can use those links that I showed here. You can put social media comments in, and I'll answer some of your questions after I get done with this. So today's that Chinook, kind of more localized, stronger wind gust situation. But tomorrow, as this jet comes in, this jet drags a cold front into the area, we get the widespread dangerous wind. But look at this, with a series of systems moving across the western U.S. this week. We've got another jet mainly south of the area on Wednesday, but it's close enough that it's still going to be windy. As we head into Thursday, there's another system back here. I think we're going to start to transition to more sort of northwest flow versus west-southwest flow early in the week. And that keeps the pattern active. There are some questions as we get into the back part of the week with maybe some snow chances east of the mountains. We'll have to see kind of how these waves play out, because into Friday there was more of a kink in the flow yesterday than there is this morning. I haven't made a change to my forecast yet, but it's something to watch. So let's walk through the wind today. And you can see here, even as we head into the late part of the day, we're picking up things sort of localized. Now, we're going to get breezy across the front range here, but the strongest gusts today associated with the wave will tend to be closer to the foothills and kind of right up against the foothills. We're going to stay breezy overnight tonight, but watch what happens as we head into the day on Tuesday, because we're still kind of ahead of the cold front here with southwesterly wind, but the front is right here moving across the mountain areas. It pops off the mountains in the morning. We turn that wind more westerly. Sustained wind speeds are going to be strong throughout the day. It's the gusts that are going to be these brute force gusts that are going to cause some problems. So the colors that I'm showing you on here is fire weather index from one of the computer models. It's a combination of temperature, of wind gusts, of humidity, how dry the air is. So it's all of those fire weather parameters here. As we head into the early morning hours of Tuesday, the gusts are still kind of confined to the hills, at least the strongest gusts. Those are the numbers that I'm showing you here on a computer model that I think is a little bit underdone. Now, there are some places here on the eastern slopes where I don't have labeled, but these areas will be getting some strong gusts, and the fire weather kind of starts picking up on some of that here. So we head into early tomorrow morning. The front drops off of the hills, is kind of moving over our local mountains between 6 and 8. And somewhere around 8 o'clock in the morning, the front jumps off the hills. That wakes up the wind. We get what's called that Bora wind event, where we're just shoving all of the wind down the slopes of the mountains and out across the plains. So between about 8 o'clock and 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, things are going to change in a big way. So you see here that the fire index has picked up. And as we hit the afternoon and we get the strongest gusts, we get onto the high end of the scale of the fire weather index. That's why tomorrow is a critical fire weather day. And you see some of the gusts down here. Like I told you, I think the model is a little underdone by probably 10 miles per hour or so. Now, the strongest gusts tomorrow over the plains, that puts us around 60 miles per hour. Might be stronger than that. Up against the Sangre de Cristos, and maybe even the eastern slopes of the wet mountains are where the strongest gusts overall are going to be. Those could be between 70 and 90. But again, temperatures are warmer out here than what we get up against the eastern slopes, but it's a fire weather day for everybody. You see some gusts showing up over 50 miles per hour. One of the things, since I went to bed last night and this morning, that's a little bit different, is the jets shifted south a little bit in a couple computers. And that's maybe reducing the strong gust potential, at least in terms of how strong it's going to be for the Pikes Peak region. We might end up closer to 50 than 60. That's good news. Keep an eye on that. I'll work on that through the day here. But you see, during the afternoon tomorrow, I mean, if a fire starts, it's going to spread. The Weather Service was talking to the National Interagency Fire Center, the Rocky Mountain Coordination Center of that late Friday. And according to them, some of our fuels in the area are as dry as they have been in a decade for the time of year here. So that's not good news either, and kind of exacerbates the fire situation. And we'll keep those gusts going through the afternoon. Tomorrow, you see the model is picking up on 50 miles per hour. But notice the difference here as you kind of get into the cities. Probably won't be as strong, thankfully. I mean, still strong, still high fire danger, still a critical day, as you know, the strongest gusts, I think, are just going to be off to the southeast of the cities and along those eastern slopes of the mountains. So overnight tonight, we're still very, very mild. We get poor relative humidity recovery because the temperatures stay warm. Tomorrow, we get a quick warm up here, and even though we're behind the cold front, there's enough mixing in the atmosphere. Temperatures are still above seasonal averages. I mean, it's a drop from today. Don't get me wrong, but it certainly could be colder than that with a cold front moving through the area. Here's the other thing I want to let you know. There's a little window for our local mountains early tomorrow morning as the front comes through that we could see a little pop of snow. So here's the front. The model, I think, is probably a little bit slow with this. But you know how I told you that there could be earlier some snow squalls tomorrow over the mountains as this moves east? This is what this computer's picking up on. And so then here as the front drops off the hills, there's a little window. I mean, it may be 30 or 45 minutes, maybe an hour, where you get a quick pop of snow. You may say, oh my gosh, what is happening? Meister said the snow was going to be up across the ski resorts. Well, I can't see. I mean, there might be a snow squall coming off the hills. But then as soon as that thing hits the downslope of the Rockies, any precipitation with that will go away. So in theory, and this is the kind of stuff we get to talk about with Peaks2Plains Weather here, you might see a period of reduced visibility tomorrow that during your commute could impact you, and it could come down heavy enough that maybe there'd be some quick accumulation, especially on the grass and the trees and things like that. It's something to be aware of. But again, fire danger, the big concern for tomorrow. We'll keep that snow going up over the mountain areas. So now let's talk about Wednesday, because you know what? We're not done with this situation as we head into Wednesday. We'll be chillier Wednesday morning behind the cold front. Some of the strongest gusts pull back as we move through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And temperatures look pretty similar between Tuesday and Wednesday. And you know what? We're not done with the wind. We still get some. It will kind of wake up as we head from the late morning into the afternoon. That's typical timing. It's not going to be as strong as what we have on Tuesday, but there may still be some gusts around 45 miles per hour, and so it is still a fire weather day to be concerned with. Woodland Park, you have that chance of showers tomorrow as we look at the extended forecast. Maybe a hit or miss shower on Wednesday. Again, the heavier snows up across the ski resorts. Then late week, Thursday into Friday, I still have a chance of some showers given the pattern. I need to do some work on that today because it looks a little bit different than it has the last couple of days. So I'm not changing the forecast yet. but it is something to be aware of. Colorado Springs, Pueblo, our forecast is similar here. I do have us getting chillier with a chance of some snow east of the mountains later on this week, and I'm going to leave it that way for now. I'll do some updates on that in the Peaks2Plains Weather app during the day today. Speaking of the Peaks2Plains Weather app, I did a push alert on this yesterday to try to talk about this. And let me see if my Wi-Fi in the studio here is good enough where I'm going to be able to show you this, because I want to interact with something here in the weather app and show you. So when you're scrolling around in the Peaks2Plains Weather app, there's a short-term forecast area that's on kind of the main page. There is an extended forecast area, and then there's also those tabs that you can use at the bottom. And I want to go into the days ahead here, and I want to show you, I don't know, every time I'm live streaming, my Wi-Fi doesn't work as good here in the studio. But if you click on one of the days, actually, let me go back to the main page here. So now you could just look at that and you could say, oh, okay, I get a number, whatever. But if you go into these days and you click on them, I have really detailed text in there that gives you kind of the most important type information that's more than the numbers. That's what this forecast is all about. So like as an example for Thursday right now, where I am in Colorado Springs, and I have us broken up all over southern Colorado into all of our different terrain areas. I say there are indications that late week is going to bring our best chance of some moisture east of the mountains. Best chance of snow may hold off until Friday, but I'm going to leave a chance in for now. It's kind of what I was just telling you. So if you don't have time to watch, I've still got that detailed information in there. For Friday, I've got may end up being our best chance of snow for the week. Doesn't look heavy as of now, but I'll watch it. So again, get in there and interact with those things and see the detail. Like for tomorrow, it says windy day, critical fire danger. So I'm trying to, again, give useful information here that is about a lot more than just the numbers. So get in there and poke around for where you are. Spend a lot of time behind the scenes working on that stuff. Okay. Let's take a couple questions here, if anybody has any. Lots of good mornings. Thanks to you for saying that. You guys are so great about that. Janine says, I'm glad you're feeling better. Yeah, I still got a little something here, but I feel better than man on Saturday. It was rough. Isaac, he commented earlier, says, thanks for being such a great forecaster in person. Thanks, Isaac. I appreciate that. I love this format that you don't get with local news. Jeremy, well, that's one of the reasons I've evolved to this, is because I want to be able to answer questions from you guys. I want to be able to give that detail. We live in a place where the detail matters, and this allows me to do that. Jennifer asked, will the winds be dangerous? I guess in a couple different senses. I mean, if we get a fire to form, the winds certainly are going to be dangerous because they are going to be pushing that fire to grow rapidly. They will be strong enough in a few spots, and I would say this particularly up against the eastern slopes of the Rockies, so along the Sangre de Cristos that I talked about, along the wet mountains perhaps even, where they will be strong enough that, you know, maybe some branches of trees come down. That can sometimes take down power lines and things like that. So in that sense, perhaps. In terms of what I was just saying about the nice, got to check it out. Yeah, you can download the Peaks2Plains Weather app anytime you would like. Keep your location turned on. If there is a fire that starts or something tomorrow, I'll let you know about that in the Peaks2Plains Weather app. If a fire starts today, I'm going to let you know about that. And that's what's cool about this. This is not on a schedule. When the weather is active, I'm going to be live on here doing stuff. So if we get a fire, I'm going to be on here. Just want you to know that. We're going to get reports from you. If you're in a place that can see the smoke, you can join me live. You can do that by using these links. So what you do here is you put these links into a browser, either on your phone or on a desktop, and it'll turn your camera on. It will turn your microphone on, and you can join me live on the show. And I can put you on air this easy. Like if somebody was on right now, this is how they'd get on there. They'd be in that little box that you see. I can have a couple people at the same time. Look at this. I've got this ready to go, where I can have the weather computer in there. We can have you guys talking about that. So if you're out on the road and you see something and you're safe, you can do a report for me on here. Because this is our weather together. That's what this is about. It's about neighbors helping neighbors in southern Colorado. So, okay. Barbara says, so there's an app. Yeah, Barbara. It's right here. Look at this. Let me walk you through this bad boy. Peaks2Plains Weather right there on my phone. Boom. Opens it up. I'll show you what's on there, Barbara. Got the 24-hour weather channel in there. When I do the forecast videos that I do multiple times a day, I'll push those in there as well. You can drill down to where you are. There's radar on there, like I'll go to the radar right now. You can do the what's happening in the past, so you can see things that have already happened, and it's loading up right now. But you can take it into the future and look at the clouds and radar yourself for where you are. You can zoom in, all kinds of good stuff in the Peaks2Plains Weather app. You should download it today. So yes, there is, and here's a QR code. If you happen to be watching on your desktop or something, you can just scan that and you can download it. So, okay. Julie says, we're getting spoiled with our weather. I do know we need the moisture. We sure wish we could get it without the wind. You know, I agree with that. In the mountains, I think I know the people at the ski resorts and people that live in the mountains, I think are going to take the snow with the wind because they need the snow in a big way up there. And it's going to be a good amount, like I said. You see that, here through Friday, chances of snow locally in southern Colorado, east of the mountains, aren't going to be all that great. But in terms of accumulation, but like I said, I have some questions for the late part of the week that I need to work on today because things are still kind of looking a little bit unsettled. So it's 7 o'clock. We zipped through that this morning. I told you there was a lot to talk about. If you missed the forecast for today, if you just joined us here early this morning, we have had some wind up against the hills. Today is our Chinook day. That is different from what the wind is going to be tomorrow when everybody is going to get in on it. But the strong wind gusts today are going to be more localized. So I'm going to let this live stream load back up here in Monument. And you can see that we have this flagpole bouncing around a little bit here this morning. And at the Air Force Academy, we are getting wind that at times has been over 40 miles per hour. And the temperature as a result is really, really nice at 52. So to wrap up with today's forecast, I think some records go down. I think we're going to end up just shy in Colorado Springs. Banjo's barometer, he's got today at a 7. Now, if you're in one of the windier spots, you may be saying, what are you talking about, 7, Banjo? But he's relating it to tomorrow, because tomorrow is not going to be a nice day to be outside. I'll wrap up with this, my friends. Banjo's buddies. This is something new I'm doing here, and I love this. We've got a couple little ones like Banjo, Sassy and Cooper, sent in by Rita Pike. She had just got them back from the groomers there. You can see them hanging out. And look at those Yorkies. When Yorkies aren't barking, it's just because they're getting ready to bark. So that's something that you should be aware of. Those Yorkies, man, there's a lot to them. My friends, have a good day. Tell your friends about the Peaks2Plains Weather app because we're going to need it here the next couple of days with the potential for some very, very active fire weather. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's pray that doesn't happen. We want the snow in the mountain areas, but across the plains, man, we don't want any fires. We don't want any fires anywhere in Colorado. They're not fun. Have a good day.